Check one, check two. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rant, talk radio for normal Americans. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, round about noon. I sit here and we go through all the day's current events. I perform it as a stream of consciousness, which is just me. Just me talking, no breaks, no stops, no nothing. Whatever thought is next in line comes out through the pie hole. Let's see. Where do I want to start today? Okay. So let's get through some things. All right. This is, those of you join us every day here in the liveliest chat room in the design district. That's as far as I'm willing to go. I don't know if there's another chat room happening at noon right now that's emanating from the Dallas design district that's better than this one. So grow this chat room. Tell your friends, man. Just in the middle of the day, sitting at work in your cubicle or whatever it is, whatever you do, just tell your friends. Yeah, man, there's a talk radio show that isn't all about Republicans are great, Democrats are evil, or vice versa. There's a talk radio show for normal people. Now, how do I come to this distinction? What makes a normal person? It's simple math. 15% of people on the right are absolutely batshit nuts. They're gone forever. Don't want to talk to them. Don't want to be their friends. Certainly don't want to have Thanksgiving dinner with them. They're gone. That's 15% on the right. You got another 15% on the left. They're gone. I don't want to deal with them either. Those people, are you kidding me? Insufferable, especially now. We'll get to that later. That leaves 70% of us. That leaves 70% of us normal Americans, some of us conservative Republicans, some of us lefty libtards, some of us like myself, left-leaning, progressive, centrist, moderate. That's, I really think that if you just boiled it down, I think most Americans are like me. We're in the middle. We're not crazy right. We're not crazy left. We see what's going on in this world. We're not stupid, most of us. And some of us, shouldn't say most of us, some of us aren't stupid. Many of us are, actually. Many of us are very stupid. That's another problem with this country. But hey, whatever. So what this show seeks to do Monday through Friday, every day at noon for the past 3 years here on RadioMisfits.com is give you a quick little rundown of everything that's happening in the day. It's fun. It's current events talk without the nonsense you would traditionally get with American talk radio, right? It's all right. It's all Republican talk. Let's be honest. Talk radio in America is Republican talk radio. And I don't imagine that if you enjoy Republican talk radio, you ain't here right now because y'all are partying over there. It's not good in the long run for ratings, though. That is true. Personally, as a deposed radio talk show host, can't seem to find a job in talk radio because I won't carry water for any one side, and I think they're all corrupt criminals. For me, what happened? The events of last night were pretty good, and we'll get to that in a minute. Simply from a talk radio standpoint. I'll explain why. But this show is going to be a little bit different. Whereas typically we do the show in 4 quarters, we break it down, we do a history segment, what happened on this day in history, we talk about birthdays, we talk about deaths, and then we get into all the different topics and I run through them one after another. That's the way a typical show runs. This one's not going to do that. Also, this should be mentioned too. I know that today is the end of our pledge drive. Pledge drive here. Every month we do a pledge drive. We try to get to our nut. If we don't make our nut, the show doesn't go on. The show's going on for 3 years because we always come close. We at least come close to justify giving it another try. So today is the day that was supposed to end. But yesterday afternoon was the last time I checked in. And we weren't there, and that's fine. I'm going to extend Pledge Week one more day to tomorrow. Simply because today is not the day for that. So look, if you still want to help out the show, we're not at our goal, or I don't know, we'll tabulate. We have no executive producer today. I didn't even look. If you want to support the show, you can certainly, and I will be putting the banner up. But we're not gonna pledge week it today. Today, I wanted this to be a special show. I realized that last night. I know on yesterday's show, I told you that I was probably going to watch about 45 minutes of election coverage, and then I'd be off to binging season 1 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? That was my plan. That plan did not go the way I stated. No, as a matter of fact, I was all in last night. I ended up just going nuts. I had multiple channels going. I'm flipping back and forth. I was into it. I was fun. I'm doing the election math. I'm doing the map math. I'm watching all the people. I'm watching the ebb and flow of the evening. Excitement turns to fear, turns to outright depression. Election night in America. It's fun. So I wanted to do just a show today where we'll just talk about what happened last night, what we think will happen next, and I'm sure we're going to have varied opinions on that. And then I just kind of wanted to talk about where I am. I'm a host. We do this every day. You guys, you come, we hang out, we have fun. But really, it's just me screaming into a microphone, right? So I wanted to tell you a little bit about where I am, and maybe we can riff on that, on all of this. Before we get into this, let me state from the absolute outset, and I have been consistent on this point since probably the late 80s. I think Donald Trump is a douchebag. I just always thought he was a douchebag. Not for ideological reasons. This isn't about, his position on, Gaza or whatever. No, it's like I look at this at first impressions. That's all. It's just first impressions. I'm a working class kid from a blue collar union type community. We don't cotton much to billionaires in fancy suits in their stretch limousines coming and making promises about how they're going to make my life better. Never have, never will. Just not in my DNA. So that's who he is to me. That's who he's always been. He's been Daddy Warbucks, right? So that's where I've been. Never cast a vote for him. Would never cast a vote for him. Are you kidding me? That guy? So I've been consistent on that for like 30 years. I've also been consistent about Kamala Harris, about how, are you kidding me? Who are these people? What is going on in this country? That 400 million? What do we got? Something like that? These are the two. These are the two. All right. So I just wanted to get that out there. I don't like either one of them. If you've been following me on Twitter, Pugs and Co. and all that kind of stuff, I'm like putting out these tweets and then I'm looking at them and I'm like, I bet people are confused. I bet people who see the world as either everybody's a Trump hater or a Trump lover. If you see the world that way, man, you're nuts. There's a lot of us that are like in the middle. Yes, I am a Trump hater, but not because I have Trump derangement syndrome or anything like that. I just think he's a douchebag. That's it. He's like, look at me. Look what I did. It's that kind of thing. Just it's off-putting. It's off-putting from where I come from. I don't think he's evil. I've never been like, Trump is evil and he's going to end democracy. No, he's not. He's a rich guy. He's playing the power game. And he's fucking good at it. Better than anyone else in the history of American politics. You got to take your hat off because, ladies and gentlemen, last night, burying the lead, Donald Trump has been reelected in a landslide. I mean, it wasn't even close. Which makes me think about a lot of things because we haven't been following the election all that closely on this show because on this show, we don't do politics like that. We don't do stupid Trump this or Kamala that way. We don't really tend to do that. We talk if something catches my interest and I think I can riff on it, then we'll maybe touch on a story. But we weren't your place to be for day-to-day election coverage. But man, I gotta tell you, when I'm watching the coverage that I watched and what I watched in the past couple of months, I watch a lot of Sky News, which I like to watch because I like to watch the British opinion of what's happening here. Last night's Sky News election coverage was I didn't spend a whole lot of time there because there was just too much great homegrown American nonsense happening. I watched a lot of Sky News, CNN, and then your ABCs, your Reuters, your AP, stuff like that. That's where I get my news. I get institutional sites. And then also, I'll dabble with some other things. Like if there's something else that's being broken by somebody, I'll look into it. I'll see if there are any corroborating sources and all that. I went to journalism school. I know how to check sources and to determine whether or not something seems like it's legit or propaganda. It's harder and harder to do that these last couple of years, but so that's where I get. So I was watching CNN last night because I didn't want to watch Fox. I never watch Fox anyway. I watch Fox as much as I watch MSNBC, which is fucking never. Because I just don't want CNN. Fake news. Okay, whatever. For my money, and I watch a lot of cable news. Of those three, CNN is the one in the middle. CNN is the most in the middle. And maybe that's not good enough for you. Whatever. It ain't good enough for the lefties. Because the lefties all think I think you're doing something right. If the lefties all think you're right wing, and if all the right wing thinks you're lefties, I think you're doing something right. Not that CNN is, because whatever. But that's what I was watching mostly last night. I was enjoying all the Magic Wall stuff, though. I got to be honest. I was jumping over to MSNBC to watch that Steve Kornacki guy in his khaki pants. He's quite a thing. I had John King over at CNN. Don't know who they had over at Fox. Hulk Hogan? Who was doing the big board over at Fox last night? Pauly Shore? Maybe a Kevin Sorbo? Lesson 1. Celebrities don't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. That's bullshit. Really? Trump's trotting out freaking Hulk Hogan and Dana White. Kamala's, running with Beyonce and Lady Gaga, and guess who got their ass kicked? That's right. Celebrities don't matter. All right, so let's get into this conversation. First of all, I would caution, who am I going to say off the top of my head? I would caution the likes of Byron, the likes of Barney, and the likes of Jeff, the MAGA contingent in the chat room. I would caution you to be classy. Don't be like the orange buffoon. Be classy. Don't have, like, you don't think Adam's having a rough day? Adam is having a rough day. There are plenty of good people that you share every day, Monday through Friday, who you share a chat room space with, who are not having a good day. Don't be a dick. Now is not the time to be a dick. Now is the time to be, are you ready for a big word? Magnanimous. Commit that word to memory. It's almost like MAGA. Magnanimous. Be magnanimous. I believe they can do it. I've already seen people be magnanimous. I've also seen a lot of idiots out there. Well, the idiots are going to idiot, whether it be on the right or on the left. Oh, there's a lot of libtard tears out there to be drunk. If that's your elixir of choice. Say hi to the chat room first. Let's see. Peter's in the chat room. We'll say hi to some people because I want to lean on the chat room today. Today I don't have my script of, endless news stories and hot topics to draw from. We're just going to talk about what we saw. So I'm going to be commenting a lot on your thoughts in the chat room. I'd love to hear them. Peter's in the chat room. Frankie's in the chat room. Danny Gallagher, what a talent. Danny Gallagher in the chat room. Danny Gallagher says, Tony Hackcliffe. Look, man, I tweeted last night. Excuse me. I tweeted last night that like 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. I'm thinking Harris is going to win. Actually, I wasn't thinking Harris is going to win. I went on, I think I made one brief prediction last week and I slid it in there, and it really bothered me that I slid it in there because I wanted to try and go through this entire election cycle without having said who I think is going to win. Or, by the way, who I said was going to win briefly last week. There's a difference between who I say is going to win and who I want to win. That's not necessarily the same thing. So I said Trump. I said last week, I think Trump is going to win. I don't know. I don't buy this. It's really close. It wasn't close. And Tony Hinchcliffe is an interesting person to factor into that whole thing, because reality is it wasn't close. Reality is Latinos came out for Trump. Latinos, by the way, not the Latinx, not the Latinos, the Americans who are of Latin heritage. They came out and they voted for Trump. Tony Hinchcliffe, supposedly, I tweeted yesterday, said Tony Hinchcliffe is going to be the Steve Bartman of MAGA. I thought that was funny. That did not age well. Of course, the meaning of that is Steve Bartman was the Chicago Cubs fan who touched a ball that was in fair territory, and the entire Cub fan nation decided that he was the reason the Cubs would not be in the World Series. Steve Bartman was scapegoat. I was suggesting that if Trump lost because the Mexicans and the Latinos and the Puerto Ricans, namely, if they were like, oh, we're not garbage, they decided that was too much, Tony Hinchcliffe would be the reason for that, and Trump would lose, and the whole world, MAGA especially, would blame Tony Hinchcliffe. Guess what? Non-factor. We were told it was going to be a huge factor. After the Madison Square Garden concert, everybody told us, Tony Hinchcliffe, oh, he's going to be the reason Trump fails. Oh, this is going to ruin the campaign. Oh. That didn't happen at all. Not even remotely. You know why? Because this is one of the big problems with the Democrats. And I'm going to point out some problems with the Democrats and why they have been devastated and why they have no idea what happened. It's because they live in their own bubble. We used to say it about the Republicans. We used to say it about conservatives. They live in a bubble. They only hear what they want to hear. Well, that's also true for the Democrats. And in this election cycle, that fucked them up. Tony Hinchcliffe, his joke about Puerto Rico being garbage didn't have any effect at all. None. People were like, yeah. And you know why I think that is? And again, this is not any commentary on Tony Hinchcliffe as a comedian or as his ability. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what he said at that rally in Madison Square Garden and how we were told that would affect the outcome of the election. How we were told, being very important here, the narrative that was popularly adopted by a lot of us was that Tony Hinchcliffe ruined the election for MAGA. Didn't turn out. And again, that's because the Democrats, and this is one of the big things that they do, and for years, the right, the Republicans, talk radio, they've been screaming about it. They've been calling the left race baiters, using race as a cudgel in the electoral process. That's always been, from the right, the accusation against the Democrats. And I think they're right. I think they're right. And I think that the landslide victory for Trumpism, and that's another distinction that I really think that here we are 12 hours after this whole thing went down. I think that's what we need to look at. This isn't necessarily about Trump. Trump is just an empty vessel who is the drive-in screen that all of this stuff from rural America is being projected on. It could have been anybody. It's not necessarily him or his ideology. It's about what he allowed people to feel. He allowed the working class in this country, white working class, black working class, Latino working class, Asian working class. Who are we kidding? There's no Asian working class. They're all fucking, they had advanced degrees, those people. Trump spoke to them. And the Democratic Party didn't think there was unity among the working class in this country because the Democratic Party thinks everyone's a racist. Blacks voting black auto workers, voting like white auto workers, voting like Hispanic auto workers. Maybe, and this is the lesson the Democratic Party needs to learn for the next time, maybe the distinction between these three groups, their ethnic heritage that you see first and foremost, maybe that's not what binds them. What binds them is the pay scale that they get working in an auto factory in Detroit. That was a major miscalculation by the Democratic Party. They still believed in 2024 that anyone that isn't them is a racist, and they see racism everywhere. I say this on this show all the time. There is racism everywhere. There are racists all over the place. But I don't necessarily think that the rank and file of MAGA is inherently racist. I think that if you are a racist in this country, you vote MAGA without a doubt. Dude, if you are anything other than a left-leaning person who believes that, post-pubescent boys should be allowed to compete with girls, that's the only, if you think that, that's the only people who are on the other side of that. White auto workers, black auto workers, Latino auto workers. They all came together on something other than you're white, I'm black, he's Latino, we hate you. And again, of course, there's racism. Of course, there's assholes, there's bigots, and there's dicks in this country. But it isn't fucking everywhere. And the Democratic Party, which brings us to two, the other thing the Democratic Party did with that first example is that they made a lot of relatively good, normal, average people feel like racists or homophobes or anti-Semites or anti-Arab or whatever. Like with a clean sweep. Everybody who didn't vote for Kamala Harris is a racist, a homophobe. They're not. A lot of people are just regular people, and the world is changing quickly, and we're seeing new things, and it's happening fast, and just give us some time. Not everybody can change on a dime. Like the girl with the purple hair and the sleeve tattoo who gives you coffee every morning, okay? She's a little more evolved than maybe the rest of us. Give us time. The Democratic Party fucked up. It's an embarrassment. The Democratic Party, here, I got a list of things that they lost here. Let's see. Well, first of all, there was zero improvement over Biden. Now I know that there were actually a couple of counties, I guess they're saying, that were slight improvements, but not across the board. She underperformed Joe Biden everywhere from coast to coast. Everywhere. Women, Latinos, Arab Americans who stayed home. That's an interesting one. That's going to be one for the historians to kind of look through. The Arab, do I get this right? The Arab, and it doesn't really even matter because fuck, she'd won Michigan. She still wouldn't have won. She lost every single blue wall state. She got her ass kicked. You liberals got your ass kicked. That well-meaning, ideologically driven agenda of yours lost you the White House, lost you the Senate, and probably lost you the House. We'll see. Developing ... But MAGA liberals is the religion of this country right now. And you know why? Because so much of what you went to the mats on was just shit that you should have fucking marginalized in your platform. I was thinking about this last night. I'm like, what is like the one issue? Like when you talk to people, when I would talk to MAGA people, not particularly smart people or politically astute people, but just passionate people who are in the process. MAGA people I know. Their issues weren't about, well, the decision about Iran back in 2019 when we did that adjustment to what had been the longstanding policy of the United States. That is not what people say. When you ask them, why are you MAGA? Why are you trying? It's not that shit, dude. It's dumb shit. It's like shit that we all understand, that we all uniquely identify as being different. But some of us are like, you must be completely okay with, it's that. It's, lack of a better example, it's the trans issue. Let's just use that. That is an example. The trans issue embodies the Democratic Party's disconnect from normal, everyday Americans. If you're a father of a daughter and your daughter's I don't know, what do they do? She runs track and field, she runs cross country, she's a gymnast, whatever. The swimmer, she's a swimmer, your daughter's a swimmer. And then all of a sudden you've got a political party in this country who is advocating for your daughter to now be able to, or be forced to, compete against people who are better than her, or bigger than her, who are more athletic boys, post-pubescent boys. Those are the kinds of issues that the liberal, the extreme liberal wing of the Democratic Party felt was the most important. And these are the issues that we need, that kind of thing. And then the mainstream, the moderate middle of the Democratic Party, instead of regulating like they should a bunch of years ago, they allowed their party to be taken over by a bunch of weird people. People like that. Look, I don't have any trans friends. I was going to say to my trans friends, I don't have any trans friends. It's not that I don't have trans friends because I don't like them. I don't know any. There's one at the Kroger. There's one trans person at the Kroger who, when I do self-checkout and like it doesn't scan or something, I got to go, I need help. They always come over and they help me, and they are wonderful. This is not an indictment of people who are trans. My personal feelings on this are that I imagine that the human body and the human existence is incredibly complicated and varied for each and every one of us. We do not have the same experience. I was born with a dick and I feel like it belongs there. Can't comprehend what it must be like to not have that. And I do believe that that is a very real condition. It is obviously a mental condition. Oh, Pugs, you just called trans people crazy. No, I didn't. I said that being born with that to me seems like it might be rooted in a mental condition. That doesn't mean that, oh, he's making it up. No, it doesn't mean that at all. Stop being reductive. Point is this. I think the rank and file in this country has a lot of compassion for people who are going through things. But what we don't like is to be told that anything short of completely acting like it's totally normal and not a problem is bigotry or transphobism or whatever it is. I mean, guys, that's a big issue that has really become something that the average American thinks about a lot now in 2024 that they never thought about at all in 2004. Give people some time. let me talk about America. Well, humans in general. I think humans in general are really stupid. I think that we only use like a tiny bit of our brain, and maybe in 1,000 years we'll be better. But right now, humans are stupid. I also think that humans are inherently cruel and selfish. It's survival of the fittest. We've got to survive. That's inherent in us. But I do like to think that Americans, certainly with the luxuries that we've enjoyed over the past 100 years or so as being a superpower and the envy of the world, I like to think that we've evolved at least to a point where we can develop compassion for things that we don't initially understand, and we'll get there. Give us some time. But everybody who doesn't understand, or everybody who's confused a little bit by the idea of, wait, what are you saying? There's 3 genders, there's multiple genders, there's no, give those people a fucking break, man. I mean, can you not see how to a lot of people, especially those that maybe aren't 20 and hanging out in a different kind of social circle than they did when they were actually 20 in 1970? Give those people a break, man. This is different. There really are 2 discernible genders. There are people born with penises and people born with vaginas. That is a fact. And any attempt, especially by a political party, to tell us that if we think that, we're wrong, and that not only just wrong, but we're bad people, that's a serious fucking mistake. Democratic Party completely abandoned the working class in this country and then thought that they could hold together the working class voting bloc by banking on whites will vote for them and blacks will vote for them. And that was the mistake. The mistake was never addressing what average people think on a daily basis. And we will have trans rights in every grade school and drag brunches. Drag brunches has been a major national narrative for the last 5 years. What? And we're all supposed to act like drag isn't weird? Drag is fine. It's fine. It's an art form. It's like burlesque. It's like whatever. Opera, ballet, whatever. Do your thing. I don't care. It's not for me. I don't want to go see it. Yeah, a bunch of dudes dressed up like Mae West and Barbara Streisand. No thanks. That's not my thing. Shouldn't be banned. But you know what else it shouldn't be? It shouldn't be at your public library at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. And if you're telling me, oh, Pugs, that never happened. Yes, it does. My friend went to a fucking thing at the Frisco Library and said that in the other room there was like a drag story time being done for kids. Now, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. But you gotta give regular, normal people not used to seeing men clowning as women, and that's really what drag is. It's the art of clowning. It's being silly and dressing up and pretending. That's what drag is. Give people a break if they're not really ready to see a full-on drag show at their public library, and then to have an entire political party in this country go, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, maybe there's nothing wrong with it, but it just shouldn't be because it never has before. And don't make people who think it's odd feel bad about it. And that's what the Democrats did. Made regular people feel like they had no choice but to just not vote necessarily for MAGA. And this is what I think happened with a lot of these Black and Latino communities. It wasn't about voting for MAGA or supporting the individual Donald Trump, although a lot of people do fall into that category. For the working class, that blue-collar thread, it was about just fucking hating the libs. That's a real problem, Democrats. People fucking hate liberals. You've allowed your well-meaning and idealistic intentions to be completely corrupted by a narrative that has been pushed down the throats of the working class in this country, primarily by things like talk radio in this country, but also to a greater extent, Fox News, and now all of your little pop-ups. There has been a solid anti-lib narrative in this country on talk radio and mainstream news for 20 years. Rush Limbaugh built an empire on demonizing the libs. It's another problem. It's not that people love Trump. It's that they just fucking hate the sanctimonious, condescending, morally superior tone of that girl with the purple hair in the arm sleeve who serves you coffee at Starbucks. People, that's what the vote last night was about. It was against that. And no, there isn't 70 million Nazis in this fucking country, people. I mean, that was one of the best tweets that I saw. Where is I'm trying to find. I saw this really great tweet that I liked, and it was something about I'm trying to find where it was. Okay, I can't find it. Anyway, actually, yeah. I'll just read it to you. By the way, guys, like it or not, this is what this show is going to be today. It's just going to be a conversation. In a minute, I'm going to jump into the chat room and I'll address some of the things you guys have said. Hold on. Here you go. All right, this was a great tweet that I saw by somebody. No, doesn't matter. Radio personality that I know. He's actually in. Where is he now? Miami. He said, "I voted for Kamala. You all know that I don't like him at all. But if you lose the Senate, the House, the Electoral College, and popular vote, and you think the lesson is that half the country is racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, and stupid, wrong lesson. Dems, there's a lesson to be learned here. We need a competitive second party in this country. We need the Democratic Party. We need pushback. That's how everything works. That's how democracy works." I voted for Kamala. You all know how I feel about Trump. But if you lose the Senate, the House, the Electoral College, and the popular vote, and you think that the lesson here is that half the country is racist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic and stupid, you're learning the wrong lesson. The Dems did this with moral superiority, with condescension, with criticizing everything, with that just fucking irritating way of, oh, I'm better than you, without saying that. It's that attitude that people rejected. It's that attitude that good people in the Midwest, in the Great Lakes, the Blue Hall, if you will, those people rejected the tone and the attitude of your squads, your Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and even to some extent Kamala Harris, who desperately tried to row her way to the middle in the closing weeks. But, you know, she had made some pretty strongly liberal and obviously widely unpopular statements that were used against her in political ads. So whatever, no great loss. Trust me, you know, my feeling on this, I've been pretty clear from the beginning, although I felt she was a better and much stronger candidate than Joe Biden. I was wrong there. Got that one wrong. Got that fucking one wrong. She sucked as a candidate. Jesus. Anyway, she's gone. She's dead. She's dead to the world. There's no comeback for her. If the Democratic Party thinks like they're going to run her again in 4 years, get the, you are nuts. You know what the Democratic Party needs to run in 4 years? They need to run a governor from the Midwest who comes from, you know, rural upbringings. That's what you need. You don't need another. There will never, and that's the other thing I'm seeing people say. Enjoy this. It's quite a thing for the Republican Party. You guys, the first female president of the United States is going to be a conservative Republican. She's probably going to come from MAGA. That's going to be the first female president. And I think it might be next. Because there ain't no way in hell J.D. Vance is going to be next. They're going to run him. Trust me, he'll stick around for 3 years of this administration, and he'll do all the bullshit. The king of France dies. He's going to go to the funeral. He'll do all that bullshit, marginalized vice president stuff, but they ain't running J.D. Vance. He ain't the heir apparent to MAGA, if you will. I don't know who is. Possibly Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity. I could see these people running Melania. Because, people were always like, oh, they ought to run Michelle Obama. And then the Democrats, because they always do what's proper. The Democrats like, well, that would be silly. We would never run Michelle Obama. But Trump will fucking run Melania and she'll be fucking president. What? No, she can't be, right? She can't be. Ivanka. Here we go. We're going to have a smoke show president in 4 years. We're going to have Ivanka Trump, President Ivanka Trump. By the way, how great of Ivanka. She was so sure that her dad was going to lose, and she was so devastated by the way her Hollywood and lefty friends all turned on her after the first 4 years that she did absolutely nothing for her dad in this campaign. She didn't do one stump speech. She showed up nowhere. You know where she showed up? Last night, the victory speech. There she was. Ivanka Trump, like Rosie Ruiz at the Boston Marathon, just showing up at the finish line. She's going to be president. There you go. That's who's next. Because it ain't Vance. So who are the Dems going to run again? Kamala? Are we going to get Kamala again? Huh? Maybe that idiot in Michigan who they're all like, oh, the governor of Michigan, she's going to be the next great one. She couldn't even fucking deliver her own state. She is done in the Democratic Party. All of these so-called power brokers who failed to deliver the blue wall, they are done. And if they're not done, well, it's just another indication of how fucking stupid the Democratic Party is, the DNC. They got beat. They got the brakes beat off them by Laura Trump. Laura Trump, a chick who was trying to be a pop singer 6 years ago, is now the most powerful woman in American party politics. Laura Trump, the chairman, or chairwoman, I don't know how we do it. It's Trump now, it doesn't matter. The chairman of the RNC, the Republican National Committee, is Laura Trump, and she delivered a landslide. She's the most powerful woman in American party politics. She's the most powerful person in American party politics, with the exception of her father-in-law, the president, who would be the most powerful person in American party politics. Anyway, let's talk about that for a minute here. Let's talk about the women. It's another thing that the Democrats got wrong. Well, all women will vote because all women are a monolith and all women think the same. Like all women are curious side characters from some rom-com. Like the funny best friend who's always getting into hijinks. Oh, she's going to tell her husband she's voting for MAGA, but when she gets behind the curtain, she'll pull the lever. Ha, 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 ha. Isn't that fun? That never fucking happened. That's a Hollywood wet dream. Women don't all think the same way. You want to hear something provocative? Look, I have said this before. I'm not afraid to say this. And as I say, Donald Trump is now president of the United States for the next 4 years. So all bets are off. You can do whatever the fuck you want as far as I'm concerned. You can say what you want. Women never support other women. They never have. They never will. Whether we are talking historically or whether we are just talking in high school, it doesn't matter. Whether you're talking about your sisters fucking selling each other out for whatever reason in a way that brothers never would do. Women, for some reason, and I have some theories, do not like to see other women succeed. It's my belief. My late great partner, Kelly Moore, Her and I used to argue about this point all the time. And she, on many occasions, admitted that women are more competitive with each other. And then I would say something like, yeah, that's because they're competing for the best sperm. You see, women have to hate each other because they're trying to get the best sperm. And then Kelly would go, fuck you. And I'd be like, ha ha. Women as a group, they don't have the same kind of relationship as dudes in a group. It's not the same thing. I used to joke, I was married to a woman, a wonderful woman, and she had a core group of 5 like best friends. And man, oh man, they were like a coven of witches. I mean, I loved them all, don't get me wrong. They were all cool chicks. But man, there was always a war going on between 2 of the chicks in this group. And they were always drawing sides, and they were always talking shit against each other in a way that guys don't do. Guys bust balls to the face. Guys say it right to your fucking face. Women like will go behind another woman's back and sabotage their chances for shit. That's I can't explain it. It is my life experience. Fuck you, I'm wrong. You're wrong, Pugs. It's my life experience. Don't tell me that my life experience is wrong. And this is another thing that the Dems have been getting fucked up on these past 10 years. They keep telling people that their individual life experiences are incorrect. It's on us, we the people. We the people have to try throughout the course of our life to be good. It's hard to be good. As I said earlier, we're all born assholes. I think humanity in and of itself is born behind the 8 ball. We're greedy. We're self-involved, and for real reasons, because, again, survival of the fittest. Let's get back to women. Women, you guys, abortion. Remember the narrative? I mean, I thought, fuck. Honestly, I was like, dude, this is like every woman in the country is going to come out and they're going to protect their right to choose. My position on abortion, I've always been pro-choice, but maybe not in the way you think when someone says pro-choice. I've always been pro-choice. What I mean by that is I've always felt it's the woman's choice, so keep me out of it. My opinion doesn't fucking matter. It's not my body. I know that that's like the lefty liberal. Well, they got that one right. They got that one right. It is their body. Oh, but Pugs, men get pregnant too. A woman can't get pregnant without a man. Oh, shut up, stupid. When that woman gets pregnant, if she doesn't want the man to know about it, he doesn't have to know about it. It's the woman's body. You shut up. Stop lawyering this conversation. You know the difference. Woman gets knocked up. She has her body. Suddenly she's pregnant. What if a girl goes out to a club, does a little blow in a bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning and lets a guy finish in her? She finds out that she's pregnant in a week. She's probably going to want to get that taken care of. Now, I do not have an opinion, again, on whether or not she should terminate that life. My only opinion is that she should decide. And I've always been consistent on that. I've always said, I go, you know what? We should do the abortion debate. Because we've been talking about the abortion thing since I've been doing radio, since the early 90s. I always said, you just put it on a ballot. Put it on a ballot. So I always said, put it on a ballot. You know what? Every fucking man, every middle-aged, portly white man needs to shut their mouth about their opinion on abortion. Just let's let the women of this country decide. Let's give them this one. I've been saying that for years. Let the women decide. The women decided. The women decided. Women decided last night, overwhelmingly. So, you know. By the way, I know the abortion thing is a little bit misleading because there were a number of ballot initiatives that codified abortion rights for women in a number of states. So it's not federal. There's a difference between federally banning abortion, which was a scare tactic that the left was using. They're going to federally ban abortion. And I don't know if that's the case. What I think they're going to do is they're just going to make it something that isn't codified at the federal level, and they want to leave it up to the states. And it seems to me that is one of those issues, like who can get married, that seems to be something that in a United States, a federation, if you will, it seems to be something that should be pretty consistent from coast to coast. But whatever. I think a lot of things that people don't agree with and they go in the other direction, but whatever. Okay, so the states decide. But Pugs, my daughter lives in Texas. Shouldn't she have a right to an abortion? No, because she lives in Texas. Move. Why should we have to move so that my daughter, because people voted, motherfucker. I don't know what to tell you. Are you pro-democracy or not? People voted. This wasn't a secret vote. This was like the main issue for women in this country for the last year. And they voted. And it's over. And here we are. So whatever. Yeah, you got a daughter in Texas. I had a very nice man. Very nice man. I was making some jokes because, I'm not upset by anything that happened last night. I'm an observer of history here. You guys, I didn't vote. I told you, I'm not even getting myself involved in this. I want to be able to take a 10,000 foot view and be able to cherry pick what interests me about this whole process. So here we are. Women didn't. Women came out. Women, you should be so embarrassed. Women are going to go in and they're going to vote behind their husband's back. What kind of fucking... What are you describing? What kind of relationship between these two fictional people in your hypothesis? What do you think is going on there? Do you think are you describing like a Stepford wife kind of thing where the husband driving to the polling place is like, now, honey, you're going to vote the way... That's not how normal people are. A woman votes the way she wants to vote. A husband votes the way he wants to vote. If they differ, like let's say the woman wants to vote for Kamala and the husband's like big MAGA, well, it's a choice the woman's going to have to make. But this idea that, it was going to be a wink, wink, this will be fun. This will be one for us girls. All us girls are in on this. We're going to tell hubby that we're voting MAGA, but we're going to go there and never happened. Again, that's some rom-com kooky best friend fucking bullshit. That doesn't happen in real life. Does it? Husband and wives are into this together. Women decided. Abortion was not as big an issue as the left and the Dems thought it would be. Another horrid miscalculation by these fools. The other issue that I think played a really big part in this, and this is an issue that, it's funny, I was talking to somebody last night, and, I always try to make jokes when people are upset, and my friend that I was talking to last night was a liberal. Smart guy, good guy. Excuse me, hold on. And he was all upset. And I said to him, I made a joke. I said, all right, dude, look, just worst case scenario, don't worry about it. You're a white guy. I made that joke. And he laughed and he said, I wish that wasn't true. And I'm like, yeah, well, isn't that the luxury that you and I enjoy? I am a white guy. I'm a middle-aged white guy. I'm bald. I look like I golf. This fucking new power structure in Washington, they're going to take one look at me and go, he's one of us. I don't know. I'm just saying I'll probably be last to go into the camps. They ain't building any camps for any white middle-aged dudes anymore. And I know that there was some fear of that heading into this election. And that's my point. The demonization of me. The demonization of everybody in this country who's like me, who just fucking happened to be born white. I didn't apply to be white. I was fucking born. I was born where I was, to the people I was born to. I was born the height that I would become, and I'm fucking white. That doesn't inherently make me the devil. And the Democratic Party has, over the course of the last probably decade, marginalized me simply to bolster their argument that people like me have destroyed this country. The white man has been in power for a very long time in this country, and that's for some very unfortunate reasons, some regrettable reasons. That didn't change the fact that the white man has, and the system is kind of set up, and we're changing. The 60s, hard-fought battles for civil rights and equal rights and access to all the things that white people do. I got to be honest with you guys. I know racism is a problem, but I don't think it's a major problem, because the people that I encounter who are overtly racist are some of the dumbest losers I know. So I'm not really... There are bigots. There are people who, because of their life experiences, have opinions on things that, people might go, that's racist. Half the shit people get called racist for is not racist. It's racial. There is a difference between racial discourse and racist pejoratives. There's a difference. We can talk about our differences. And that's another thing that the left did wrong. The left, while purporting to be defending the individual cultures and heritage of all of us here in this melting pot, we're in fact homogenizing it to the point where we're not even supposed to recognize the differences. I'll give you an example. I love people's heritage in their cultures, in their backgrounds, in their ethnicities. And I love to talk to them about, what was Thanksgiving like at your house? Liberal friends. I ask a friend, someone like that. Okay, so Jewish friend. Here's an example. This is an exact example from a wedding back in the 90s. Met a person, they were Jewish. It was around Christmas time. And I said to this person, I go, well, you're Jewish. What's Christmas like at your house? And one of the people I was sitting with were like, oh my God. Now, again, this was years ago, but that kind of scenario has been amplified over the last couple of years, whereas asking that question would have me being an anti-Semite. You're an anti-Semite. You have to lose your job. You can never work in whatever public field you're working in now again, because you had the audacity to ask a man who has declared himself as Jewish what Christmas is like at his house. You have curiosity, sir, and curiosity is obviously steeped in hatred. When we used to do Duke's Dodgeball 105.3, we used to draw these massive crowds to Duke's every week. People, all kinds of people, different age people, all kinds of people. I remember I used to play this game with Paco. Oh, Paco. I just realized Paco's another one that's gone. But Paco was always amazed at my ability. My ability is I can look at an Asian person and I can, with pretty solid accuracy, tell you what kind of Asian person it is. What kind of Asian person? How dare you? That is so racist. What do you mean? What do you mean? There's like 50 different nations and ethnicities and cultures in the Asian population. Why is it racist for me to make a distinction between them? It's actually more racist for you, Mr. Lefty, to not allow them to be proud of their individual backgrounds. All questions and all talk from a white man to somebody who isn't a white man about their experience is not racist. It's not. Sometimes it's just curious. Anyway, my gift was almost infallible. Sometimes I screwed up. But oh yeah, you bring somebody in front of me and Paco would be like, hey, Paco would run up with somebody. Some girl. He'd run up with some girl. Pugs, this is Lisa. Lisa Pugs. Hi, Lisa. Nice to meet you. Then she'd be like, because there's probably a listener. It's like, oh, it's just really nice to meet you. I listen every day. You know, that kind of thing. Very nice. Love it. And then Paco would go, all right, enough of that. Pugs, what is she? And I'd look at her and she'd look at me and I'd be like, she's Filipino. And she'd be like, I'm Filipino. How did you know? Actually, they never said that because Asian people know the difference. Asian people can tell the difference. But I have that ability. White people can't. White people can't do that. Most white people just see an Asian person and they're like, hey, whatever, that Chinaman over there. Not Chinese, he's Japanese. How dare you, sir? But me and my little game, I guess my game is racist. Well, it's racist because you're saying that there is a difference in the features of these people. Yeah, go on. Go on, there is. It's right. Well, I get what you're saying. You're calling me a racist because I'm pointing out that there are very real anthropological differences in people based upon where on the globe they evolved. Are you telling me that I'm not allowed to talk about that fact because it's racist? So that's the kind of shit the left did. I am the farthest fucking thing from a racist. I am the farthest fucking thing from a homophobe, an anti-Semite. Yeah, because I'm a white guy, I'm always automatically put in that category. No context needed for my little fun questions or talks with people. No, that dude's a racist. What else do we have? I'll tell you what we have. We've got a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And if on this day, if you identify as a liberal, and again, I would say I identify as a solid centrist with progressive leanings. Why progressive leanings? Because I believe it is incumbent upon us as humans to attempt in our time on this planet to evolve, to just be a little bit different, because we do. That's what we do as a species. We evolve. So that is why I would describe myself as happily having progressive leanings. And I'll tell you this about my friends on the left, about my friends, my liberal friends who are feeling pretty down today. If you've dedicated yourself already to being an obstructionist for the next 4 years, you better shut up about democracy. You better not be one of these people. You better not be one of these people who are like, democracy is in danger. Democracy worked. Democracy worked well. And short of there being some kind of a blockbuster story that comes out in the next couple of days about a massive, whatever. Short of that, this was a great fucking election, guys. This was democracy working. We said yesterday, remember on the show, I'm like, you guys, there ain't no way this will be over by, tomorrow night. We're not going to know anything tomorrow morning. I had pledged to you that we were going to do just a normal show today because I wasn't going to get all wrapped up in the weeks and weeks of what I anticipated to be endless ballot counting and Supreme Court arguments. That didn't happen. You know why? Because democracy worked. Now, for a lot of people, no, you know what I was going to say? For a lot of people, not the majority, obviously, but for a lot of people, democracy didn't work out in their favor. And again, I say, if you are one of those people where democracy did not work out in your favor, and now you're screaming about doing this and not allowing this to happen, you don't believe in democracy. I mean, I'm not even going to get into MAGA. I mean, you people, after the last election, what you did, you already showed what you'll do. We know you nuts. Democracy worked in 2020. The election wasn't stolen. Can we stop that bullshit now, you nut? Ugh. Last night's election was fucking great. And it was decisive. And it was one-sided. And that made it easier. All of these vote challenges and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, man, if you're one of these people who are going to be like, we're going to stop him and everything that he's going to want to do. I don't know how you're going to do it. As I said earlier, MAGA is the religion of this country for at least probably the next 2 years. Because there'll be midterms and we'll see how it all shakes out. But if the Republicans win Congress, oh my God, you guys, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing Trump wants to do will be stopped. He rules over the Republican Party with an iron fist. And if the Republican Party somehow hold on to the House, which is possible, real possible, and they've won, they flipped the Senate, oh my God. Legalized weed and federally legalized sports gambling had better be two of the first things that this guy does. Let's go. So me and E, E of the E Gallery, E, famed artist here, raconteur, bon vivant, man about town. So E and I were talking about this, and E goes, what do you think he's going to do first? And I go, interesting. And then before I could answer, he interrupted me, as E often does. And he says, do you think like he's going to start deporting people right away? Because, the whole mass deportations thing. And I'm like, no, I don't. And here's what I do think. And I started to tell him what I think. And then him, being E, he just started talking. And he went on for like the next 5 minutes about how here's what's going to happen. And this is how they're going to play it out. Everything that he promised on the campaign trail, he's going to be able to do now because he has the Congress and he has the Senate. And nobody's going to be able to stop him. And then when he finally finished, I said this. I said, I don't know, man. I told you how over the weekend I watched The Apprentice, the movie, Donald Trump's origin story, that movie, how I watched The Apprentice. And as someone who has never liked Donald Trump for one single goddamn minute of my life, I told you I liked him in the movie. I thought The Apprentice was a great movie. And maybe the reason it wasn't released before the election day was because people would see it and feel the same way about it as me and go, you know what? He seemed like he seemed okay. I'll go that far. I really like Sebastian Stan's performance as Donald Trump. I thought he was great. The nature of his relationship with Roy Cohn should be concerning to anyone, but it's not. So he's thinking he's just going to start right away making good on all the campaign promises. And I'm of a different mind. I don't want to come off as pie in the sky or whatever, but I think I know a little something about this guy. Like I say, I speak Trump. I've read his books. Hell, back in the 80s, I read Art of the Deal. I was in college. I've watched him on TV. I know who he is. I get him. I always say, folks, I think I'm a really good judge of character. I think that there are a lot of people in this world that we share oxygen with who are absolute horseshit judges of character. Half the chicks I know are just shit judges of character. But anyway, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I like to think that I can look at somebody and go, after about 5, 10, 15 seconds, this guy's an asshole. I get it. Don't buy a car from him, right? I can typically do that. And that's how I feel about Trump. And like I say, I've had 30 years, 40 years maybe to observe this guy. So he thinks that he's going to start making good on all the campaign promises. I go a different direction. I think Trump at his heart, and I don't know, you can say, he doesn't have a heart. Of course he does. He's a human being. He's got feelings. He's got emotions. He's just Donald Trump, right? Okay, so it's just a little bit different. But his feelings get hurt. And obviously, he's an emotional baby. I mean, the way he just reflexively reacts to things and says just like shit a 13-year-old would say in a fight. Anyway, doesn't matter. The most important thing to him is being loved, being popular. He is a narcissist. He is driven by his ego. That's who he is. It's who a lot of people are. It's who your favorite football player is. It's the thing, okay? But that's what drives him, man. It really upsets him and has really upset him for years that he is so divisive, that he is so Now, here's what I think. I think that these 4 years, we can all agree these are going to be his last 4 years. He will not be running again in another 4 years, whether it's allowed or not. And I know people are like, well, you can't because you already did. Well, I was another guy on TV today, some Supreme Court expert who was talking about, no, he might have a case to be able to, whatever. I think reasonable people know that what's he going to be, 84, 80 something next time? No. So this was just about him getting back what was lost in 2020. Humiliated, embarrassed. It was the worst thing that ever happened to him. He lost re-election. Getting this term, this second term, being 45 and 47, that was all he wanted. He just needed to win. He needed to win. He needed to win. It was humiliating for him that he lost and he needed to win. He doesn't even want to be fucking president. So all of these things that he campaigned on, I believe, all of these things that he campaigned on, I don't think we really need to. If you think that these are like the most important issues to him, I don't know, man. The most important issues to Donald Trump is making people fucking finally like him. And he ain't running for re-election. So he doesn't have to keep up all the pandering and he doesn't have to keep up all of the blah, 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 so that they'll re-elect him in a couple of years. He might be thinking as a man of his age that, you know what, this is my legacy. And right now, if I drop dead, I will be one of the most divisive and beloved and at the same time disliked characters. And he doesn't want that. He wants to be universally beloved. I think there's an outside chance that he uses these 4 years as essentially what I've always said the presidency is. It's like the Queen of England. It's basically a fucking figurehead thing. I don't think he's going to be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do, CIA debriefings. He's going to be the guy that does the speeches, and he's going to be the guy who talks to the American public, and he's going to be the guy who shakes the hands and gets the pictures and goes and meets with world leaders. That's what he likes to do. That's what he's going to do. And you know what? This time around, he might be a little bit more conscious about what his legacy is. He's got a, 18, 17-year-old son. He might be a little more conscious this time about how that boy is going to be viewed by the public after he's gone. This might be his chance, the narcissist that he is, to completely reverse field. And if you think for 1 minute that, no, that's not it, he's MAGA, I say he's a salesman. I don't think he believes half the shit that he has been saying for the last 10 years. I think he's a candidate and always a candidate and thus always selling. The man tells every room he's in exactly what that room wants to hear to like him. That's his MO. That's how he got elected. And I think that that's kind of going to be a way that he approaches this next 4 years. This is about his legacy now. Who is he? Am I being a stupid optimist? I'm not saying that he's going to be Mother Teresa, but what I'm saying is he might not be as fucking wheels off crazy as all the spinning the libs out on a daily basis. I don't want that. Oh, man. And that's the other thing that I think the libs really need to get over. And we're going to give them today. Let them be all freaked out and spun up. We'll give them today. But the libs can't get over the fact that that man is one of the greatest political figures in the history of the United States. Pro or con, he ain't the forgettable, marginalized Chester A. Arthur of 2024 that so many liberals were. Well, they're never going to remember him. He was just a completely ineffective president, a one-termer, if you will. How many one-termers are remembered? That ain't the case anymore. What we saw last night was the greatest political comeback in history, and I know a lot of people are saying that, and you're probably looking at me going, Pugs, you're just repeating what they're saying. No, it's true, man. I said as I started to see the night unfold, I said that many times, I'm like, this is the greatest political comeback in history. He is dominating All right, let's go into the chat room now. Let's join. Some of you people, come on, jump in. I'll try and scroll through. I know that I've been talking for a while, but I had a lot that I wanted to just kind of get out there. Again, Donald Trump has been reelected, although we have suspended what we call Pledge Week. That's right. This show runs on your tips and your gratuities. We have suspended it until after the show tomorrow because I wanted to do this special show. I will still put this up now if you want to support this kind of talk radio. We do it every day, Monday through Friday. Been doing it for 3 years. No sponsors, no advertisers, no nothing. Just you guys going, hey, man, that was a good show today. Here's a little something. Not going to be counting the numbers. We're not going to be whatever. I'm just going to leave it up there because doing a show, so I'll leave it up there. Let's go into the chat room. Let's see here. Is Jeff arguing with Nina? I don't want that. Oh, hold on. What just happened? Ugh, good Lord. Let me switch over to the chat room. All right, let's see here. I'm just going to go a little bit back. Barney says, I guess regarding Kamala, he says, it wasn't that she was a woman. She is an incompetent, ineffective, unlikable person with an obvious substance abuse problem. Okay, let's go through this. Let's pick this apart one at a time. It wasn't that she was a woman. She is an incompetent. We should all be as fucking incompetent as a senator from the largest state who ascends to vice president. We should all be that incompetent. Ineffective. Yeah, she was vice president. She wasn't ineffective as a senator. She was very effective as a senator. That's why they loved her out there. That's why she was Biden's choice. She wasn't ineffective as a senator. Not for the causes that mean something to people not named Barney. I mean, she was. Whether you like that or not. Barney says she's an unlikable person. Yeah, she really is. She's got a weird vibe, man. She's got that same Colin Allred vibe that I said. I said, Colin Allred, I predicted he wouldn't win. And I don't know how Ted Cruz won. That guy's like the worst. But Colin Allred just is weird. He just had a creepy, weird vibe. So does Kamala Harris. Barney then says, unlikable person. I agree with that. With an obvious substance abuse problem. I love Barney. But, you know, people get squirrely. Yes, it's obvious. She has an obvious. What made it so obvious? Was it the caked up 24-hour-old blow in her nose or the track marks on her arm? Which signal you that she was obviously a drug addict? Jeff Ballard says she was the most. Oh, fuck. Why do I keep doing this? Oh, I know why. Because I can't control the chat room. Jeff says she was the most unpopular VP in history. Again, I don't know if that's true. The fuck you know about Chester A. Arthur's VP? You don't know dick about who's what. You're just throwing shit out. You sound stupid. She's the most unpopular. How do you even measure that? A vice president's popularity? What are you, fucking nuts? Spiro Agnew was pretty goddamn unpopular. I'll throw that one out there. Dan Quayle was pretty unpopular. Dick Cheney was pretty unpopular. But no, apparently Kamala? Really? I think that's a stupid thing to say. Jeff says, even among women, the abortion issue is around 60-40. Yeah, whatever. Good. That's fine. I mean, I don't know. Again, Jeff, I don't know your numbers, but cool. Yeah, women. It's a women's issue. Their body, their choice. They made a choice. Shocked a lot of people. Shocked me. They made a choice, though. Democracy. Frank says, I was told by women that Trump is going to put them all in handmaids' costumes. Yeah, see, it's that kind of nonsense. It's, you know. What does that look like? How does that work? My boy, the talented Danny Gallagher says, pro-life is such a loaded term. They think abortion is murder, but they're willing to let women die when they need one. Yeah, man, there's been so much nonsense about the abortion issue. I mean, like, people actively campaigning on, and the Democrats want post-birth abortion, like actively going in front of a crowd of people and saying the Democrats want to kill babies after they're born, like they want to, like this is in their bloodlust. You don't think that's a little misleading? You don't think that's a little bit darkly misleading? Oh, he's pushed me, but that's not a thing. Nobody wants, no woman carries a baby for 9 months and then goes, you know what, changed my mind. It's not a thing. I mean, there are calls for the issue of late-term abortion as it deals with the health of the mother. Very important that we focus on saving the life of the mother if the birth could be, something that could kill the mom. That's how I look at that when I say, well, why do they want loopholes for late terms? I don't know, in case the baby is ripping out the insides of the mother and the mom's going to die. Maybe that. I don't know. Seems to be reasons. Rape, incest. Like, these are all reasonable, normal people. 70% of us, again, not the 15% crazy on the right, not the 15% crazy on the left. The rest of us, the 70% of us who can all get along, who can go out to dinner together, who might vote differently, but we're fine with each other. That's 70% of us. We know that if a 14-year-old girl gets raped by her uncle, she should be allowed to terminate the pregnancy. That's not even something we should be discussing. And if you're one of these people who are like, no, if little Sarah at 14 gets pregnant by old Uncle Eddie up to his old tricks, she should have, that's God's will, and she should need to carry it. Fuck you. Fuck you, you monster of a person. Normal people understand the difference. But again, it's a woman's issue. Let's see. What else do we have? Al, my boy Al says, why can't they just have the day after pill available to all women for an extremely low price? They can take it the next day. A majority of the issue can be solved. Well, doesn't that make a whole lot of sense? That makes a whole lot of sense. Look at Al. Look at Al. Look at our guy Al making all kinds of sense. Yeah, I mean, look, if there is a pharmaceutical that you can pop like a Tic Tac after hooking up with some dude at a bar, let's do that. Let's do that instead of, surgery. That does sound better. But then I know. And this is where we get into the issue of it's not about abortion. It's about controlling a woman's body. And when there are certain factions of the right wing that, are against the morning after pill for these same reasons, that's, I don't know. That's a baby. No, it's not. But okay, I'm not going to have this argument. Been having this argument for 30 years with people. Life begins at conception. All right. How about life begins when she accepts the drink invitation? Can I buy you a drink? Why, yes. That's when life begins. Life begins there. Let's see here. Nina says a fetus in the womb is priceless, but a child already born is worthless to conservatives. See, it's that kind of harshness. And by the way, for the record, if this had gone the other way, if the lefties, if the left had won instead of the MAGA idiots, you got the lefty fucking dicks and the MAGA idiots. The MAGA idiots won. The MAGA idiot wasn't close. MAGA idiots like running up the score right now as we speak. The MAGA idiots won. The lefty weirdos, they lost. If it had been the other way, I would still be on here today, I think, doing the same kind of show about essentially just trying to get us all to a point where it's over. They won. It's over. But it's, Somebody said last night on Twitter, I was reading it, and they're like, "Oh, now all the lefties are they're gonna riot, and they're gonna." Well, they ain't. That's the thing about the lefties. They're pussies. Are you kidding me? You know what they're doing? There's like probably 50,000 lesbians knitting pink wool hats right now. That's what they're doing. You know what they're going to do? They're all going to adopt some kind of fashion accessory, and we're going to wear it. And when we go out in public and we see somebody wearing it, maybe it'll be a red hat. That's what we'll do as libs. We'll just, maybe a nice... Let's see, what else do we have here? Chat room conversations. Danny also says the abortion ban may be reality, but that doesn't mean it's unjust. Okay. See, abortion ban. I don't really. Maybe I'm not as smart as some other people. But wouldn't the abortion ban? Aren't we talking about some sort of federal? Maybe be it an executive action or something pushed through a right-leaning Congress and Senate, something like that. Is that what we're talking about? An abortion ban at the federal level? I hear people say that there's going to be an abortion ban, but I haven't really heard the people on the right saying that. Not the people at the top, not like Trump. Trump says he's always been pretty consistent, at least since the Roe versus Wade overturning or reversal or however it's characterized. He said he believes it's a state issue. And all the states, a shit ton of states had codifying abortion rights in their state constitutions on the ballot yesterday. And in every single state, it passed, except Florida. Well, Florida. Yeah. Florida got to Florida. But everywhere else, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, wherever it appeared, Colorado, wherever it appeared on a state ballot referendum to enshrine a woman's right to abortion in our state constitution. In every state it passed. It passed. So, and again, I talked about this at the start of the show. Abortion, anything having to do with medical, I think that one's health shouldn't be, the quality of one's health care shouldn't be determined by what state they live in when you live in a federation. We don't live in a balkanized part of the world, okay? We live in a federation. The whole reason that we're united is because we agree that there are some benefits to being a big, giant group. So healthcare, marriage. I mean, come on, man. I don't think you can be married in Connecticut and then not legally recognized as married in Oregon, right? I mean, things like that. And until recently, I had believed that abortion fell into that category as well. But you know what? This is such an inflamed and passionate issue, and people feel so strongly about it. I would vehemently be opposed to a federal mandated abortion ban. But go ahead, give it to the states. Let the women in the actual states decide. And then again, I'm sorry to my friend who was very upset last night on Twitter because he has a daughter here in Texas. But move. Why should I have to move? Because you are out of step with the worldview of the people you share a state with. That's why. And there are going to be handicaps that you, as a progressive-minded liberal living in Texas, there are going to be handicaps that you are going to have to suffer through simply because of your worldview, because of your ideology. It's a handicap. Move. I don't understand why I should have to move. Again, because you are not in step with your neighbors. The people in your state made a decision. You were on the losing end of that decision. And, that's just how it is. But my daughter, I'm sorry, man. And he was also going off on Trump. I'm like, dude, and I just to talk him off a ledge, I'm like, dude, that buffoon didn't do anything to your daughter. I called him a buffoon. He is kind of a buffoon. So, dude, that buffoon didn't do anything to your daughter. We, the people, decided that for your daughter here in Texas. We, the people. Wasn't him. He's just an empty vessel that represents all of the things that we're pissed off about. That's all he is. He's like I said, he's a big drive-in movie theater screen. And he said to everybody, he said, "What are you pissed off about?" And then he stood there and they all threw what they're pissed off about. And he said, "Yeah, how about it?" He told them exactly what they wanted to hear. That's who he is. The most successful politician in American history. Never seen anything like this. Like 1 million convictions. Like civilly declared a rapist. I mean, and just one of the most dominant election night victories. And again, my primary thesis on today's show is that I do not believe that this was some sort of beatification of Donald Trump, the man. I think he's just the beneficiary. I think this was a backlash against liberal-minded ideals. I really think that that's what it was. And as somebody who has occasional liberal-minded ideals, again, I can see why. I can see why. It comes down to the things like trying to convince you try to convince your like 70-year-old grandma that now there's 3 genders. I mean, good luck with that. And then when grandma doesn't get it, grandma's evil. Why? Because she was born in 1929? Come on, man. I think the left came too hard. They demonized everybody. And they didn't realize how many people they were actually demonizing. They didn't realize. Colorado, Frank Smith says, Colorado and Minnesota have unrestricted abortions and cannabis. How exciting. The idea of whether or not, MAGA couples were going to vote in unison, and as they, as the left cheekily kind of put out there that women are going to vote against their husbands, they're going to say, "Honey, we're MAGA," and then they're going to vote. And that never happened. On that topic, Barney, our boy Barney says, "I don't even know if my wife voted at all." Now that's real. That's real. Again, this narrative that was put out there that husbands, when you're sitting at the dinner table with your wife tonight and having that conversation about your days, and then all of us are sitting there going, "Who the fuck does that?" Most of the time I eat a cheeseburger in my car on the way home, and by the time I get home, she's already in bed because we work. No, have that conversation. Daughters, convince your dad. Oh, did you see those? Those were the other ones. These sanctimonious, just fucking emotional drill sites. That's what I go, because they're just trying to get an emotion out of you. It was like any dad with like a 13, 14-year-old daughter or something. Any dad. They were like making these videos and yesterday going, "I voted for her." It's like him and his daughter. I'm like, that's not, I mean, it's nice. I mean, I get it. You're a good dad. You love her. It's nice. But that ain't real. That ain't real. I know a bunch of dads of daughters. I know a shit ton of girl dads. And I'll tell you, not a single one of them is like, that. I'm voting for her. No. Every single one of them is voting for their taxes, is voting for the price of gas. I'm not voting for... Maybe if she has 2 dads, maybe her 2 dads. Seriously. See, that is the image that was put out there by the left of what they think America is. I'm going to be just like the guy I saw on Twitter who voted for Kamala Harris only because he's got a 14-year-old daughter. Oh, God. I know if I seem a little salty, that's good though, right? We like a salty rant. And I'm not salty. If anybody who was following my Twitter feed last night when this was all going on, you know what kind of mood I was in. I was having fun. There's a lot of people upset. I'm not upset at all. Why? I mean, Why be upset over a presidential election? But I guess I'm not as bought and paid for as some of the other people. Like some people, like man, I mean, there are people who this was their Super Bowl. A lot of you. Get some in the chat room. Byron, man, Byron's celebrating. You go for it, boy. Well-earned victory. You won the motherfucker. Just, dial it back in a couple of days, okay? And then you can bring it back for the inauguration. Well, we all understand that. He's all of our president. Let's just all be cool. Let's just all be cool. Oh, yeah. That thing about riots and stuff. I guess there were some riots because I saw something on Twitter where somebody had circulating a viral video. This is from the no-go zone in Portland. I don't know what any of this shit is about because I don't hang out in weird like right-wing chat rooms, so I don't know about the neighborhoods of Portland. I don't fucking care because I don't live there and I'm an American and I have other things to distract myself with. I don't need to be, again, super familiar with the weird-ass fucking Antifa neighborhoods of Portland, but whatever. So this video was going around. Apparently there was a little bit of a skirmish there with the Antifas. And the person who put it out there, the person who was tweeting it was like, and the libs aren't taking, now the libs riot. And I'm like, oh my God, would you stop it? Would you stop it? I know a shit ton of lib dudes. They ain't Antifa. They ain't anything like Antifa. They think Antifa sucks too. It's like looking at a Nazi rally and just going, well, there you go. That's MAGA. And look, I understand that there are a lot of people who think that. That's pretty much my main reason, right? Why the Democrats lost the election. Because the Democrats acted like everybody who ever voted for Donald Trump is a Nazi. And that alienated a very large and very in play group of people. Again, people who would never, there are so many people in this country who just held their nose and voted for Trump simply because of their hatred for liberals, for the way liberals have behaved. And again, I'll say it the way I said it, condescending, moral superiority, and making everybody feel like a racist or a bigot or whatever because they're just, they're just trying to catch up with the changing times. Byron says Seattle was rioting 3 hours before it was called for Trump. Byron says bring back asylums. Yeah, bring back asylums, but that's not a Republican policy, Byron. That's a liberal policy. I got Byron in the chat room going, bring back asylums. Yes. One of the liberal policies I believe in, yes, let's fucking invest trillions in mental health care in this country. And we can start by repopulating all of the mental institutions that were closed under Republican leadership. Yes. Thank you, Byron, a liberal. See what I mean? It's a great idea. Byron says, I may or may not have had a tiny square mustache yesterday. See, that joke's okay here because it's a joke. It's social satire that is relevant to the moment. Now, let me break down the joke and why that's a joke and not just him going, see, he says he's a Nazi. No, he's not saying he's a Nazi. See, there's been a social narrative that, people who are MAGA are Nazis, and I even just sort of reiterated that in saying it. So as a joke, he said I may or may not have had a little square mustache. See, it's a joke based upon he's not a Nazi. Although he might be. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't think he is. I just think Byron is representative of a lot of people in this country who are tired of fucking feeling like, well, it's not that we don't count. That's a rough thing to say as a white man. It's not, and I don't even care. This is a lament. My buddy James Parker on WBAP, one of his big laments that he goes on his radio show is, I'm a white man and nobody wants to listen to me and nobody cares. My whole take on that is, I don't care. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. You want to marginalize my opinions because that's fine. I don't care. just don't call me a racist. Just don't peg me as evil simply because I'm a white man. Do you know what that's called? That's called being a racist. That's what that's called. And that has been this little thing that the race baiting left has been engaging in pretty actively over the last decade or so, which is everybody's a racist, especially white people, because white people can't help but be racist. A statement which in and of itself is fucking racist. And that's how the left loses everybody in the middle of this country with that kind of stuff. So that's got to change. Byron says, being told that I'm evil and crazy by people that actually are evil and crazy. Well, there you go. Little quid pro quo with the evil and crazies. Everybody calling each other names. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm just looking. I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom and give you the most recent stuff. What is the most recent stuff? Oh, the most recent stuff is all Byron. I'm having difficulty controlling my chat room, as I almost always do. Nina says Colorado is beautiful. I'll second that. Yeah, speaking of that, see, not only, this has really got to hurt, not only did the left get absolutely trucked by MAGA last night, all the absolute worst torchbearers of MAGA won their re-election. Speaking of Colorado, Lauren Boebert, she's back. Looking all hot, being slutty. We are talking about a woman in the Congress who jerked a guy off in a theater. We saw it. It was on video. We saw her jerk a guy off in a theater, and she got reelected. That in and of itself ought to be a lesson for you. And you know what that lesson is? People don't fucking care. Stop with your fake outrage. I remember the day that came out, right? What were they seeing, Annie or Cats or some bullshit? This was in Denver at some nice fucking theater house. She's like sitting there. She's jerking this guy off in the chair, and the security camera is showing it. She got kicked out. Remember? And she didn't even get kicked out for that. She got kicked out for vaping. Remember that? So I'm watching this, and I'm going, wow. All right. Cool. She's a handy queen. I guess she can't be president, right? There's like no way that anyone can ever float Laura because she gave hand jobs, because that was one of the big problems with Kamala, was that apparently she gave blowjobs. Or is that just one step too many? Lauren Boebert jerked a guy off, and it's not even that. It's that is such a classless trailer park whore sort of thing to do at a nice place. Like, it is just so beneath the dignity of a serious person that she got reelected. No problem. People don't fucking care. The horse is out of the barn, gang. People don't fucking care. Why not? Why should they? Why should they? Everybody enjoys a hand job. Maybe that's part of her diplomacy. Maybe that's part of her ability to negotiate with world leaders. She's giving them a little hand job. Get her over there, sit her between Zelensky and Putin. We'll settle that thing. She's very handy as a negotiator. So she won. Marjorie Taylor Greene won. Who else won? Anybody win? Anybody lose? Oh my God. You guys. Sherrod Brown in Ohio lost. Now, Sherrod Brown is a long-time Ohio fucking Andy Griffith type. I mean, he is He is like country Dr. Folksy. I mean, he is, he wears his hair's rumpled. You know, his shirts are unpressed, and he looks like a real man of the people. I used to always describe Sherrod Brown as the closest thing that I think we actually have to a Mr. Smith going to Washington. You know, that's sort of how he always struck me. Good dude, decent person. He's a Democrat. Very moderate Democrat, though. We almost has to be. He's in Ohio, right? But he's a good man. He's a good man. He ran for re-election in the Senate. A good man. Andy Griffith. Good man. Been there forever. I mean, nobody really thought he was, figured he's a mainstay in Ohio politics. What could be the problem? He's such a good man. He lost his Senate seat to a Colombian-born crypto bro who sells supercars online. Motherfucking Jimmy Stewart got his ass handed to him in Ohio, losing a Senate seat to a crypto bro car dealer from South America. All right, America, let's go. So that was sad. I saw that. That was sad. I saw All Red here in Texas. He lost. What am I saying with Ted Cruz? That dude's a fucking vampire. I mean, Ted Cruz is whatever. I've been speaking out on Ted Cruz for 10 years now. But as I said last week, I knew he was going to win because that Colin Allred guy, yes, on paper, looks great. On paper, resume looks great. And then you put that fucking dude on camera and he's weird. He's creepy weird. He doesn't look, his eyes are like very piercing. He makes you feel uncomfortable. It wasn't good. Dems in Texas. We're going to win a Senate seat. No, you're not, you big nut. Jeff says about Lauren Boebert, her in those blue jeans. Yeah, man, ain't nobody. She's fucking super hot. She's the second hottest chick in Congress. She's super hot, man. Gives hand jobs, and she's a twice elected congresswoman. Oh my God. Sorry, my arm is getting a little tired here. And we got a whole lot more to do today. All right, I haven't even really gone down my list of things that I wanted to hit on. We talked about the fact that women, Latinos, and working class black, they elected Trump. That's it. There were all these different subgroups that elected Trump. Rogan frat douche bros, they went for Trump. Suburban women, they went for Trump. White working class, they went for Trump. What about black working class? Went for Trump. Latino worker went for Trump. Asian working class, there's no such thing. They all went for Trump. Who went for Harris? Seriously. Black women? Did they go for Harris? Probably. Black men? No, black men didn't. People with purple hair, I think that's who Kamala had. I think Kamala had black women and white women with purple hair and gay men. She had gay men. She had all of them See, by them, I mean, the trans, she had them, she had that subset. But again, that subset, you know what, like, well, we dominated with 100% of the trans community. Yeah, and, Trump got the dude bros in backward baseball caps. Who do you think has more in this country? The Democrats, they're terrible. They need to fire everybody. They need to get rid of everybody. Here's what they ought to do. He's got time on his hands now. They need to just bring Sherrod Brown in and make him in charge of the new Democratic Party. Let's go. Normal, good, decent people who don't hate you because we vote differently, who don't think you're evil because we see the world differently. That's what we need. That's what the Democratic Party needs. Democratic Party, it's going to be a long haul. Going to be a long haul back. I mean, they are devastated. They got nothing. Not a damn thing. Let's see. Had a couple of thoughts just that I wanted to rip on that. As I was watching the Trump party, the Trump scene, the MAGA celebration, I don't know that I've ever really noticed this before, but maybe it's because he is such a staple of the decade. There's a real like 80s vibe around everything MAGA. And I got to tell you, as a Gen Xer, I'm not entirely opposed to it. I'm very comfortable with it. But it's very much like, I don't know. It's very like Trump was an icon of the 80s. That's when Trump rose to importance. It's when he opened his casinos in Atlantic City and Trump Tower in New York. And that was his decade. He is very much a man of the 1980s. And everything about MAGA seems like we're going back to the 1980s. And again, I don't know how far I can riff on that, but it was just my thought that, I could probably do okay. Do all kinds of things now. Like, first of all, because the left and their attitudes and their, you're a bad person, because of all of that was so roundly devastated by the American public, you do know that all bets are off now. Like, you can say fag and shit like that now, and, guys can grab ass again, although I wouldn't advise it because that is still illegal. But we're going back to the 80s. All of that shit is fucking fine now because there is going to be no repercussion. The American people have spoken. Nobody's offended by any of that shit. Trump's bringing us back to the 1980s for 4 years. It'll be fun. You'll have businessmen banging interns, and then like the interns will go to like human resources at their corporation, and the human resources will be like, sorry, we can't help you because we're now all operating as if it's 1985. And then in 5 years, she'll be a vice president. Gay dudes back in the closet. Nah, I'm kidding. Come on, I'm kidding. We're gonna do like 1980s. We're gonna go back to the 1980s, but it's okay to be gay. Because there's a lot of gay MAGA. Oh my God. If you don't think there's a whole shit ton of like super rich elitist Republican homos out there, you're nuts. A lot of gay MAGA. Gay's fine with MAGA. I do worry that maybe now that, and I'm joking. I'm obviously joking. And I hope you can tell by my tone that I'm just trying to riff here on this day, this non-traditional show. But I do hope that people aren't mean. I hope that this isn't look, people are going to be mean. That's who we are as humans. But I do. There we go with that word again. Magnanimous. Magnanimity. I'm hoping for some magnanimity. And again, maybe Trump for the next 4 years, he knows they're the end. He knows he sees Biden. He's going to be... I give Trump a year before it's just really embarrassing. And then all of you people in MAGA are going to have to suffer the same criticisms that, they did with Biden, because he's going to get old really quick. That's how it happens. And he's done. He won. He did it. He's accomplished. I mean, he's not going to be a grinder of a president. This was, again, just about him winning. So I do hope that he does become that guy more this time. Someone more concerned about his legacy than actual reelection, because I think a lot of the way that he conducted his first term in office was designed to get reelected to a second term. And that's how a lot of these guys look at it. First term, don't do anything that goes out on a limb. Don't do any big things, but just whatever you do, make sure that you are stoking the base and you have them ready for reelection. That's what first termers are all about. So maybe if you're looking to be optimistic, that's what Kamala Harris would have been. So maybe now we will see some real change. And again, as I am hope trafficking, maybe he will be more interested in his legacy, and that those changes that we see now over the next 4 years, with possibly both a Republican upper and lower house, maybe those changes from him will be good. It's possible. It's possible that he can do some good things. It is possible that he will now work as hard at building bridges and making people like him as he did the other thing. Being Trump, coming down the escalator to last night. I really do think that all of it was to get to where he sits today, where he's going to have 4 years as president, where he's not going to run again. He doesn't need to kiss anybody's ass. He doesn't need to kiss religious leaders' asses. He doesn't have to go to churches. He doesn't have to give rallies to trailer park people. He doesn't have to do any of that shit anymore. Now he can just think about, will they or won't they build statues to me? And how can I ensure that they will build statues to me? I really think that's a strong motivator for a guy like him. I really do. And I think that we could be surprised. Maybe I'm pie in the sky. Maybe I'm just... A lot of you out there are just so, what do they call it? Mega derangement syndrome or whatever they call it, whatever that is. Some of you are just so broken that you can't see it. You see him as evil the way so much of the American middle class sees liberals as evil. And I'm saying, come on, everybody stop it. Evil's not a real thing, stupid. Okay? Evil is a construct of whatever story some human is telling. It's an ingredient. All right. In closing, and I don't know, even though we're not even closing, we've got a couple other things that I want to talk about here. In closing, on this subject, the election, my thoughts about last night. Look at that. I just did 2 hours straight on just last night and my thoughts. In closing, it was the greatest political comeback in the history of American politics. Donald Trump may, in fact, Donald Trump is a major president now. Major. Like it or not. Maybe he's not your guy. Maybe he's not your guy. And maybe Reagan wasn't your guy. Whatever. Maybe Obama wasn't your guy. But they are all major American presidents. They ain't Chester A. Arthurs. There ain't no Garfields in that mix. And Donald Trump is now in there. Does it hurt? like some of my liberal friends listening to this going, oh, why do you got to say it? Because it's true. And that's one of the first things that we need to start doing in this country, and that is accepting reality. Negotiating the changes to our worldview that reality has made and moving forward. That is the test of our time. So accept it. It's a wonderfully run election. America does democracy like nobody else in the world. Trump kicked the shit out of Kamala Harris. And here we go. All right. I did want to show this. Here's a little something that I'll show. Jon Stewart, the great Jon Stewart, the amazing Jon Stewart. I love Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, forever, whatever it is that you think about him as a political pundit or as the host of the Daily Show, what Jon Stewart has tirelessly done for the past 20 years in the name of those 9/11 first responders should have fucking streets, statues, and schools named after this guy. Never forget. Well, guess what? Everybody forgot. And Jon Stewart has been working tirelessly for these guys. There are people with cancer. There are people that have gone through 10-year cancer battles after, working in the rubble of 9/11. Fuck them, basically, was the response to them. Jon Stewart made sure that. So whatever it is that you think about Jon Stewart, just know that one thing that he does right there, that really ought to clear the slate. That ought to give you a fresh start with him. So think about that. Here was Jon Stewart last night. This is him on The Daily Show. I believe this is how he closed it out. I think this was the end of The Daily Show. I don't know. I didn't watch it last night, but let's check it out. Election night. The great Jon Stewart, pundit of our times, on last night's election.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Daily Show. It hasn't been completely called yet. We don't exactly know what all the results are going to be. Our time is running out. I do want to very quickly send a quick message to all the pollsters, the election pollsters. Blow me. I don't ever want to from you again, ever. I don't ever want to hear, we've corrected for the overcorrection of the voters. You don't know shit about shit. And I don't care for you. We'll figure it out next time. Oh, plus or minus. Oh, we were in the margin of blow me. Oh, okay. Look. Look, here's the thing. Here's what we know. Is that we don't really know anything, and that we're going to come out of this election and we're going to make all kinds of pronouncements about what this country is and what this world is. And the truth is, we're not really going to know shit. And we're going to make it seem like this is the finality of our civilization, this and thing. We're all going to have to wake up tomorrow morning and work like hell to move the world to the place that we prefer it to be. And I just want to point out, just as a matter of perspective, that the lessons that our pundits take away from these results, that they will pronounce with certainty, will be wrong. And we have to remember that. If you're in 2008, when Barack Obama won,
there's no question that this is the beginning, the first election of the future, really. And I think we are moving towards a post-racial America.
Yeah, that lasted a day. And then, of course, in 2012, Obama won again. And the lesson was,
the GOP needs to send a powerful signal to Hispanic voters that the party respects them.
That was the lesson they learned after that victory. And they were certain of it. And send a powerful signal to the Hispanic community, the GOP did.
When Mexico sends its people, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Which apparently was the winning message. And that taught Democrats in 2016 what?
Maybe what the Democrats will be looking for is somebody with some inside experience, but who's a generation younger.
It's obviously going to be younger. It's going to be from a new generation.
Need I say it?
With great honor and humility, I accept this nomination.
And that turned out to be a winning message again, which led to an insurrection. And the lesson from that was,
when Donald Trump leaves office on Wednesday morning, he will leave Washington a pariah.
Donald Trump will never be allowed to set foot in the Capitol again. Never.
Ever. My point is this. But this isn't the end. I promise you, this is not the end. And we have to regroup, and we have to continue to fight and continue to work day in and day out to create the better society for our children, for this world, for this country, that we know is possible. It's possible.
Well, I don't know about for the next 4 years. I thought that was good. Stuart's good. I want to address Jeff in the chat room. God, this is so petty. And Jeff, you are so much better than the absolutist that you always seem to. First of all, you got it wrong. Jeff says in the chat room, remember when Pugs said the polls are always right? No, but I do remember when I extensively discussed the 2016 polling that was much maligned. That is the polling that I was talking about. 2016, remember when everybody had Hillary winning by 3 to 4 points just outside the margin of error on election eve. And then, of course, Donald Trump won. And everybody went, oh, the pollings. You can never trust the pollings. It was about the pollings. Yeah, the pollings were right in 2016. Because, Jeff, polling predicts the popular vote, not the electoral college. The polling saying that she would receive about 3 to 5 million more votes in the popular vote than Donald Trump that was released by the major polls on election eve 2016 was right. Okay? Was right. Never said the polls are always right. We were specifically having a conversation about 2016. But go ahead, be an absolutist. And you know what? Even if I had said the polls are always right, does that mean, or can you extrapolate from that then the polls must always be right forever? Or was I just saying they're always right until now? So the polls were wrong. The polls were wildly wrong this time. You're right about that. But I just don't understand how that degrades my 2016 argument, you petty little bitch. All right, here is something else I wanted to go through here, guys. Some fun ballot initiatives, okay? There were some ballot initiatives, and fun. Shouldn't really say fun. I don't know if these are fun, but they're interesting. How did the country vote? Where is it? Come on, hold on. Ballot measures, here we go. How did the country vote on a number of these big, important ballot measures? We already told you about the abortions. You know, all of the states, except for Florida. Florida got a Florida. All of the states, even like the most rural evangelical states, all of the states that didn't have the big anti-abortion money machine behind it, Florida did, because Florida is one of those states. But nobody gives a fuck about South Carolina. So those people there, yeah, they approved abortion. So we went through that. Some other things. Also, one that we'll discuss that affects us here in Dallas. Abortion, Arizona. Passed Proposition 139, right to abortion, passed. Colorado, right to abortion, passed. Maryland, right to abortion, passed. Florida, right to abortion, not passed. And again, what's the difference? Well, Florida's a major state with a whole bunch of electoral votes, a whole lot of money, and it's got a whole bunch of campaign dollars. And by campaign, I don't mean presidential election campaign. I mean campaign like, let's keep abortion illegal. Those kinds of dollars. A lot of them in Florida, not so much in the other states. There was probably a big campaign and push to keep abortion illegal in Florida, and that's what we got. It's the only state where right to an abortion was on the ballot, and the women turned out, and in Florida they said no. What did they say in Maryland? Right to abortion, question 1. Yes, of course, it passed. Maryland passed. Maryland isn't Florida. How about here? Missouri. Amendment 3, right to an abortion. Missouri. Oh, God. Children of the corn. You guys ever been to Missouri? I spent a lot of time in Missouri. I'm from Illinois. Missouri's like right there. It's like, all of our little like cousin states. If you're from Chicago, you've been to Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Indiana. Without a doubt, you've been to those states. Missouri said yes to abortion. super conservative Christian evangelical daddies on the front porch with a shotgun, Missouri, said yes, women can get abortions in Missouri. Wow. Montana, right to an abortion. Approved. Can humans get longhorn sheep pregnant? I'm not sure. Nebraska. How about this? Nebraska. Oh, we don't have a Nebraska right to an abortion. So far, it looks like, you know what? It looks like it might not pass in Nebraska. 51.2% are against it. They haven't called it yet. 51.2 against a woman's right to an abortion in Nebraska. 48% for. What is this one here? Is this a right to an abortion? Nebraska did pass a second amendment. This one passed. Amendment prohibit abortions after the first trimester. So abortions after the first trimester are now illegal in the state of Nebraska. Nevada, right to an abortion, passed overwhelmingly. Of course, it's Vegas. You don't think Vegas is going to have abortions? Come on. It's another reason to go to Vegas. If you're in a neighboring state, that doesn't have legalized abortion, there you go. Go to Vegas, get your abortion, play a couple of hands of blackjack, maybe take in a show, go home. Do some ecstasy, dance all night at a club, get pregnant again, find out, and then redo the cycle. Go back to Vegas for the abortion. New York, what do you think? Of course, New York passed their right to an abortion. See, all the states are taking care of it on their own. But I live in Texas. Yeah, that sucks, because Texas ain't going to do that. Sorry. But why? Well, I think that's a you problem. Again, my friend who lives here in Texas, lifelong Texas, you are out of step with the way your neighbors think on this issue. So you can either move, or you can dedicate all of your spare time to trying to change the way your Texas neighbors think on this issue. Otherwise, you're just shit out of luck, man. Democracy, rock and roll. South Dakota did not pass. Wait, right to an abortion. Sorry, South Dakota said no as well. North Dakota says yes. South Dakota says no. They are very different peoples. All right, let's see here. Couple of voting rights issues. No excuse. Where are the ones that I don't care about these? These are all weird. I don't care about ranked choice. I don't care. I really don't. Where are the voter IDs? All right, here you go. Idaho. In the state of Idaho, there was an amendment. Citizenship should be required to vote in an election. It passed. Of course it passed. I mean, how is this not even already a law? I don't get this. I get, whoa, voter ID law. Look, man, see, this is another thing about the Democrats. Reasonable, normal Americans who may be right, who may be left, who may lean in either direction, but they're reasonable in their normal. Reasonable, normal Americans think that it's probably a good idea that someone have to present an ID to vote. It's probably a good fucking idea. Well, no, because then that marginalizes people in our society who don't have IDs. Well, then why don't you guys start a political program that gets IDs for these people? Because it really is just kind of a no-brainer that in a million years, like, could I have just walked into a polling place yesterday and gone, I'm here to vote, I live here. And they're like, do you have an ID? Fuck you. I just want to vote. How does that work? And yet the left and the Dems made anybody who was like, you should probably have an ID to vote in a federal election. That seems important, right? The left and the Dems made everybody who thinks that way feel like a racist. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a racist for thinking someone should have to prove that they're actually an American citizen before voting in a federal. You're a racist. Fuck you. You're not a racist. Don't you think it could be anything else? That's on you, libs. That's on you, left. What happened last night is directly tied to that kind of bullshit. People should fucking have an ID to vote. And I understand the problem about this marginalizing, underserved communities where people don't have IDs and all that. Well, then let's create one of these programs that you on the left are so great at where we get everybody an ID card. Let's do that. No, you don't want to do that, do you? No, you don't want to do that. Because that would actually fix the problem. And then if you couldn't claim that the opposition was racist, you wouldn't be able to. It's just like the Republicans in the border. We could have fixed the fucking border. Trump was president for 4 years. He could have shut down the motherfucking border. So could Biden. Could have just shut down the motherfucking border. They had a chance here. They could have locked it up. They had that bipartisan border bill, and they didn't pass it. You know why? Because the Republicans need us to have a porous border. Or at least they did. They don't anymore. They've got everything. It doesn't matter. Now they can actually fix the border, and that'll be good. And Trump will get credit for it. I didn't want to fix it before. It's like we need that to be a problem. We need to stand in front of people and crowds and go, the border's a mess and the Dems won't do anything. We need to be able to do that. And if we can't do that, if the border's fixed, then what are we going to run on? Okay, that's over. So now go fix the border. See? Look, there's a bonus. There's a bonus. And again, if you are in that middle 70%, remember 15 crazy on the right, 15 crazy on the left, the 70% normal people, you and I, if you're in that 70% normal people thing here in the middle, and you don't think that we should have a better system to stop people from illegally entering the country, if you don't think that we should in these times of, people smuggling bombs and terrorism and drugs and all that, you don't think that we should have just better controls over who gets in and out on a daily basis? If you're in that 70% and you're like me, and you think that, yeah, we really do need to, again, this doesn't make you anti-Hispanic or racist or a Nazi. It just means, hey, man, it's a scary fucking world out there. And, you can make suitcase bombs with nukes now. And I don't know. I know I'm being weird and this is just scare tactics. But I just really would feel better about myself if I knew we had better and more secure measures at the border. So now maybe they fix it. Because it's such an easy fix. It really is. You can fix it easy. Just didn't want to. So now maybe they fix it. Maybe. And Trump will get credit for it. See what I mean? Build the statue. And I'm a Trump disliker. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Look at me. But this is just the way the chips fell. This is what we're doing moving forward. Again, working class normal people should not be made to feel like they're racist because they simply think that if you want to vote in an election, it's probably a good idea to have a driver's license or an ID card or a voter ID card, whatever we create. Idaho, citizens will now be required to present identification to vote. Okay, that was yesterday. Citizenship required to vote in Kentucky passes. Citizenship required to vote in Missouri passes. Citizenship required to vote in North Carolina passes. Do you see? In every state, overwhelmingly too, these things are passing with like 80% approval. Those are bipartisan approval because that is an issue that normal people are like, duh. And the fucking left has made anybody in opposition to just, I don't care who you are, even if you don't speak English, if you just walk up to a polling place on election day and you want to cast your ballot, you should be able to. And it doesn't matter if that's absurd. That's crazy. And that's the argument that the left made for the last number of years that made normal people who would normally listen to their message, tune them out. because they don't want to be stop calling me a racist. All right, a whole bunch of these ballot initiatives concerning citizenship requirement, and it passed everywhere. Let's see here. Oklahoma passed citizenship. Okay, South Carolina passed it. Wisconsin amendment, citizenship required to vote. Of course, they passed it as well. All right, marijuana. Let's look at some of the weed laws. All right, so we had a whole bunch of legalization of marijuana initiatives on the ballot in a number of states. In Florida, Amendment 3, the legalization of marijuana, not passed. North Dakota, legalization of marijuana, not passed. See, dude, I told you, it's back to being the 1980s. It's going to be like the 1980s now. Marijuana's bad again. It's bad again. South Dakota, Measure 29, the legalization of marijuana. Not passed. It did not. Did not pass. What else do we have here? Oh, minimum wage. Okay. State of Alaska, increase minimum wage, $15 per hour in rural, conservative, deep red Alaska. Passed. Arizona. Arizona had this, Proposition 138. They want to be able to decrease the minimum wage. So if there is a minimum wage, they want to be able to legally pay the person less than that if they work on tips, which is something that, I mean, I thought it was a federal thing because that's how it was in Illinois. Like when I was a bartender and stuff, like minimum wage, I think was like $3.35 an hour, but I only got like $1.85 an hour because I got tips. I don't know. I never questioned it. I thought it was federal. Apparently it's not. Anyway, that didn't pass. Decreasing minimum wage for tipped workers did not pass in Arizona. Very good. That's one for the working class. Thank you. California, minimum wage. Proposition, $18 minimum wage in California. Too close to call. Right now, 48.9 versus 50.2. Too close to call. We'll see how that goes. Massachusetts, increase minimum wage for tipped employees. Okay, so this is the opposite of the other one. So this is like, so in Massachusetts, I bet you have legalized lower minimum wage for tipped workers, like I did in Illinois. It was $3.35 an hour, but I made $1.85 because I made tips. So I think that's probably the case in Massachusetts too. So what Massachusetts has here is they want to be able to increase the minimum wage for tipped workers, and that did not pass. So not looking out for the working class there. Not working out for the working man. Fuck the working man. Here you go, Missouri. Proposition A, minimum wage. $15 or $13.75. I'm sorry, $13.75 an hour immediately wage, followed by $15 an hour by 2026. Super red, ultra conservative Missouri. How do you think they voted? They overwhelmingly passed it. Yeah, it wasn't even close. Missouri. That was one of the things that the right did. The right tried to make everybody think that $15 minimum wage was horrible, and it tried to turn a whole bunch of working class people against even poorer people who did fast food jobs. Didn't really work. Because in every state here where they're like 15, all of these minimum wage raises are between 15 and 18. They've passed everywhere except one place that didn't pass. Missouri, good. Taking care of the fucking working class and not carrying buckets of tears for the goddamn franchise owner who owns 15 Hardys, who doesn't want to have to pay his fucking workers a decent wage. Fuck that guy. That's what Missouri did. Missouri said, fuck that guy. But talk radio would have been like, you can't have a $15 minimum wage because talk radio is carrying water for those franchise owners. Because they go out to the golf outings and they pay $5,000 sponsorships and they shake the hand of the local talk radio. It's all bullshit. Of course, we need to have a higher minimum wage. We live in a country that, one, doesn't really encourage higher education anymore, at least not economically, because it puts you in the poorhouse once you graduate. And all we got are bullshit minimum wage jobs. So we better start taking care of those people. And you know what? The people of Missouri, those poorly educated, inbred hicks, all they got are fucking minimum wage jobs. So that's why they overwhelmingly vote for it, because it's in their best interest. Even though their favorite talk radio host was like, man, could you imagine making $15 an hour for working in a McDonald's? Yeah, I could. And you know what $15 an hour is? It's fucking bullshit. You're still broke. You're taking the only job that's left in your town, because all the other jobs were shipped over to China or wherever. Fucking everybody tries to act like demonize the middle class or low income worker in this country. Fuck you. All right, keep going. Let's see, whatever we have here. Do we have the, no, here, I want to do this one. All right, so that's it. Those are just a number of the ballot initiatives. Here in Texas, here in Dallas, Proposition R passed. Now, you know what this is? I didn't know. I think we talked about this a couple of months ago, but I didn't realize that it was like a ballot initiative that was coming up now. We talked about it a couple of months ago because I started to read it and I started to, like, in my head, work out what my rant would be, like what my take on this story would be. And I started to say shit that I'd already said. And I'm like, oh yeah, we already talked about this like 4 or 5 months ago. So Proposition R here in Dallas, it sought to decriminalize, and this is why we talked about it. It sought to decriminalize 4 ounces or less of marijuana in Dallas. Okay. So is this Dallas County? I guess this would be Dallas County, right? So which certainly encompasses the city of Dallas. So the reason we talked about this a couple of months ago, if I remember correctly, is because there was a battle going on in the Dallas City Council about what was really going on with this ballot initiative. And there was some bullshit, some local hijinks, if you will. Some aldermen, some council people were pushing for this bill. Some people from neighborhoods that were, well, you know, interestingly enough, the most beaten by the drug trade in marijuana and all that stuff. So when they came forward and said, we think that it ought to be legalization of everything over 4 ounces, that caught a number of people's attention. And that's why we talked about it on the show, because usually it's 2 ounces. It's usually 2. Usually it's, you know, we're going to decriminalize anything under 2 ounces. That's how they started in Illinois at first. It was 2 ounces. 2 ounces is a lot of weed. 4 ounces is an absurd amount of weed, okay? You can have 3.999999999 ounces of weed on your person here in Dallas now, and it's basically legal. It's a little slap on the wrist, and it's a fine. We talked about it, and we looked sideways at those Dallas City Council members because this seems like the kind of thing that would receive a kickback from your local drug dealers. It seems like the kind of law that your local corner pot dealer would be all in favor of. Because right now, you know, your local corner pot dealer, he's got like a couple of bags on him. Like, let's say he's got like maybe 3/4 of an ounce. Cops roll up, they catch him. He's in trouble. Yeah, right, so that 3/4 of an ounce now isn't a problem. And in fact, he can have up to 4 ounces on him now. Right there on the corner, dealing bags to people as they drive by. Hi, officer. 4 ounces is a suspiciously large amount to be legalized. And the fact that it was brought to the city chambers by people from neighborhoods that have a lot of pot dealers who could definitely benefit from this law was fun and fodder for us to talk about. Well, it passed. Dude, I'm going to become a pot dealer now. Are you kidding me? The only thing that stopped me from being a pot dealer, you know, he's got a big pot farm. He's a legal Oklahoma pot dealer. Just give me a hefty bag of it, and I'll just start I'll only deliver in Dallas and in Dallas County. Go ahead. You want some weed? I'll drive it out to you. There'll be a surcharge for that. But I'll get you weed. I'm going to start dealing weed now. decriminalized. I would never go out with more than 4 ounces. That's a lot. 4 ounces. If you've got 4 ounces of pot, you're dealing pot. Maybe not on a large scale, but dudes who have 4 ounces of pot have 4 ounces of pot because they buy for a couple of dudes down at work. They got a buddy from college who still comes by and buys a bag. I mean, you're not a big time dealer, but 4 ounces, if you got 4 ounces of weed, you're not just an innocent recreational occasional user of pot who got, caught by the police at the wrong time. No, if you got 4 ounces of weed, you're in the game, son. You're in the game. And now you're completely legal. So good. Good for them. Ballot measure passed. There you go. Or Dallas Proposition 9 passes. Decriminalized 4 ounces of weed or less. All right. Anything else? Oh, here. Let's watch this video. This is a fun video from last night. This was put out there. I was loving, you got the Steve Kornacki over there at MSNBC. He's got the big board. I was watching him. He had John King at CNN. He had the big board. Check out this video. This is the best big board video of the election night that I saw. Check this out. Boy, oh boy. Here we go.
Some really interesting trends in a lot of key battleground states. Let's start with Pennsylvania with its coveted 19 electoral votes. And I want to focus for a moment on Erie County up here. This is a crucial swing county. It goes Trump in 2016, narrowly back to Biden in 2020. Now I want to go in even further than that. This right here, this is Mill Creek Township, District 2. Polls are showing momentum toward Harris in areas like this. But to really understand what's going on, let's go even closer, zoom in a little bit more. Right here. This is 114 Hilltop Lane. Now I want to take us inside the bedroom here. Bear with me. There we go. So this is Nick Camden, 37-year-old registered independent. He goes Hillary in 2016, Trump in 2020. Which way is he going to go in 2024? Really hard to say at this point. It's pretty early, but we know it's going to be close.
And Jason, what are you seeing inside this person that might indicate movement one way or another?
So this is just a very ordinary Rust Belt body, small town values, predominantly white. It's got the lungs, it's got the vascular system, the heart, but I actually want to show you what's in here. This is the neocortex and the amygdala. These are areas of the brain responsible for regulating emotion and memory. So let's play out a couple of scenarios here. If, for example, this man remembers his grandmother and the time she took him to an Al Gore rally in 1999, feels good about that, that's a win for the Democrats. On the other hand, take a look at this. This is the area of the brain that's associated with social interaction in groups, and we've seen it light up when Nick goes out for beers with his Trump-supporting coworkers. So we're looking at really a thin margin here. I want to show you something, actually. Let's come back out. Let's go past the rib cage, past the lungs, past the heart, past the tumor. Healthcare going to be a really big issue in this election, obviously. Past the DNA to what we're calling the source, the origin of life, existence itself, where all of humanity's answers can be found.
And can we zoom in further than that?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm scared. But what we can do is we can actually zoom out here, out of the DNA, out of Nick Camden, out of Erie, Pennsylvania, out of the solar system to the edges of our cosmos, where we see ultimately how meaningless this whole race really is and how insignificant all of our tiny little lives really are.
That is a big map. Thank you, Jason.
Okay, there you go. Ultimately, we are but specks. It's so meaningless. It's just, all right. Did I have anything else? Anything else that I stumbled across that I wanted to maybe share with you guys today? What is this? I don't know. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking for some stuff. All right. So this was a surprise to me. I haven't seen this yet. We'll be looking at this for the first time. Both of us. I'll be seeing it. There's a new film, okay, that's, I guess, being released. I didn't know about this. I don't know if it's an A-list film. I'll explain why that's a question. There is a Marlon Brando biopic coming out, which on the surface, sounds fascinating. Marlon Brando was a weird dude. Like he was an interesting guy. So any story that depicts, his, day-to-day life would be interesting. And certainly to me, I'm a fan of Brando. So they made a movie about his life, and I honestly don't think that there's been a Brando movie. I don't think there has. So I'm intrigued. But then they released the trailer. We're gonna watch the trailer here. They released the trailer, and Billy Zane is playing Marlon Brando. So now I'm like, what the fuck kind of movie is this? Billy Zane? Billy Zane isn't a real actor anymore. Billy Zane was never a real actor. Billy Zane was like a handsome Hollywood guy in like 1989 who was probably roommates with Johnny Depp. So all of a sudden he started showing up and shit, and nobody knew what to do with Billy Zane. He was always like almost going to be famous, but then he wasn't. He's like a D-lister, right? Billy Zane. What's the only thing? What was Billy Zane in? Is he the Lawnmower Man? Or no? That's Peter Gallagher. I always get Billy Zane and Peter Gallagher mixed up. They're from the same clone line. Anyway, the fact that it's Billy Zane portraying Marlon Brando makes me think that this is like some straight-to-video fucking low-budget. Like, if you're going to do the Marlon Brando story, like, I would think Leonardo DiCaprio as Marlon, something like that. Billy Zane? All right. So it was for that reason that I thought, maybe I want to check out what that's all about. And I'm not going to look at it now. I thought to myself, let's watch this together with the people in the chat room. Should we have a little extra time at the end of the show? And I'm looking at it right now and I'm thinking, yeah, okay. All right, here we go. This is the new Marlon Brando. Hold on, what's it called? What is the new Marlon Brando biopic called? Hold on. I don't know what it's called. All right, I guess I don't even have a name for it. All right, here we go. Let's watch this.
For justice, we must go to Don Corleone.
Why did you go to the police? Why didn't you come to me first?
Cut.
Were you happy with the way The Godfather came out?
I don't think that's really worth talking about.
I hear you like to build great big domes and stuff like that.
I guess you could say I'm passionate about structurally efficient environments in the most inhospitable areas of the world.
Me too. That's why I chose Beverly Hills.
I own an island nearby. It's more beautiful than words can describe, and cinematography can capture, and I want to move there.
An island with no potable water.
Working on a process to bring clean, drinkable water to the island, made from my own urine.
Or food sources, or electricity.
Eels.
Eels.
Electric eels. Put the eels in the lagoon, we siphon off their energy, power our generators.
To live out there with even a moderate amount of modern convenience would be a monumental undertaking.
Bernie can build it.
I want to build the hotel right here.
Wait, hotel? What hotel?
How else do you think I'm going to pay for all this?
The airstrip alone is costing 3 times what you estimated.
There is no more money from us to you on this project at all. Ever.
Pacific's way too short. It will crash.
And scene. That's great. That was really great.
Wow. All right. Fuck me, Billy Zane. Good for you. Wow. Holy shit. I thought that was Marlon Brando. Holy shit, Billy Zane. Look at me. Aren't I the asshole? And John Heder. Napoleon Dynamite? Really? Like the other thing John Heder did? Like John Heder, that was weird, right? Billy Zane and John Heder. Two guys that are, I mean, they're not even D-list in 2024, who somehow come together and they put together a trailer for what looks like not only an incredibly well done big budget film, but that actually looks like an interesting story. Well, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right, there you go. I'll see that movie. Waltzing with Marlon. I'll see that. That looks really good. That looks like exactly the kind of movie that I enjoy. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed today's election conversation. Yeah, look at CC. CC says, okay, I'm sold. His resemblance is uncanny. Freaky, right, man? Freaky. It's freaky. Yeah, Nina says, looks exactly like Brando in this. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We're out of here. Gave you a little extra show today, a little bit of extra time. It was a big special show, big special day here in America. We will resume the pledge drive tomorrow. I'll take a look and do another accounting of the numbers, and we'll put the names up. And I appreciate you allowing me to get one more day. I couldn't deal with that yesterday. I just wanted to go fully into the election, and so I put off all of my troubles for one more day. We'll do a show tomorrow at noon. Like, follow, subscribe, radiomisfits.com. Check out some of the shows there. Might I suggest that show hasn't been funny in years. A deep dive on Saturday Night Live by a very talented radio host, the great Nick DiGiulio. He hosts it. If you're from Chicago, you know who Nick DiGiulio is. All right, guys. That's going to do it. All right. We're going to be okay. Going to be okay. There is a choice to be made. This is like me talking to my kid. This is like me talking to my 6-year-old kid who's about to have a fucking temper tantrum. We have a choice to be made right here. We can choose whatever we do next, but a smart person would run the numbers. We would game plan what happens after we do what we do next. So make a choice. And the choice could be as simple as optimism. This dude might be looking for, icon status at this point. I truly believe, no matter how much I dislike Donald Trump, because, again, I just think he looks like an asshole. He's just an asshole. I wish I could say that I have problems with him ideologically or politically or because of his, platforms. I don't. I just think he seems like a fucking arrogant, look at me, I'm so cool asshole. But because of that very thing, I think he might be hyper obsessed with what his legacy is. And I think he might use these next 4 years without being burdened with trying to get reelected. I think he might use these next 4 years to do shit that's going to get him statues, to do shit that's going to, we'll see. Is it probable? I don't know. But it's a choice. It's a choice to think like that. It's a choice to think that here we go. We got 4 years. This motherfucker might actually just do some great things for this country. It'll be different. It'll be different than 16. Again, he's not running for re-election. All right. I love you guys. MAGA boys, be nice to the libtards, okay? They're going through some shit. You don't need to kick. It is not fucking cool to kick people when they're down. And remember, that's really what we all need to strive for. Let's just be cool. It's over. God, can you believe that? It is, though. It is over. I truly thought that I thought it was going to ruin Christmas. It's over. It was over by 11 o'clock. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. I'm Pugs Moran. This has been us, The Rant, from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Gallery on Dragon Street. I am Pugs Moran. Radio Misfits, Dallas. RadioMisfits.com.